Hello, this is Rudy Giuliani with another edition of Rudy's Common Sense. And today I would call it a special edition because something happened last night, yesterday, that has never happened before in the history of the United States of America. And it is a big step toward confirming the fact that we may very well be living in a fascist state, particularly with regard to federal law enforcement. This has been coming for some time. It is not a total surprise. When you look back on it, you can see that something like this might happen. But still, searching the private residence of the last president of the United States or a former president of the United States has never been done before in our history. The reason is really multiple. The reasons are multiple. The most obvious one is it is typical of fascist governments, communist governments, Nazi governments, or corrupt governments, banana republics. We call banana republics. It's typical that they immediately upon coming into office attempt to prosecute the opposition, to eliminate their predecessor, particularly if their predecessor may be a threat to run against them again. This has been a practice that's gone on maybe from the beginning of democracy, which is one that negates democracy, negates the almost critical principle of democracy, the rule of law. You know, people say democracy, the people choose. That isn't the guarantee of your freedom, by the way. People have chosen Hitler. People have chosen Mussolini. People have chosen communist dictatorship. Your guarantee of freedom in the United States or anywhere is a Bill of Rights, a set of immutable principles that cannot be violated by the government without serious consequences. Many of our founding fathers say that, democracy run amok can become totalitarian. If the majority becomes one party, as the Nazis did, as the communists did, as the parties in Venezuela and elsewhere did, as we see something like that happening in Colombia right now, that's when rights get taken away. Before we get back to the inside information that I'm going to now disclose, or the information hasn't been disclosed yet, we did get a recent ruling from the Supreme Court that finally underlined, first of all, the importance of life, and second, the proper functioning of the federal system. It took support from companies like Patriot Mobile, who've passionately fought on behalf of the unborn and your constitutional rights. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative mobile phone company. And they've been on the front lines fighting for your values. This is why Patriot Mobile is different than the other providers out there. Inflation has made it very difficult to buy anything, and the price of phones and phone service has also all gone up. And Mobile has made plans for almost any budget, and they'll work with you. And you get the same nationwide coverage as you do with all of the other carriers. So you get the same great service, but you also get the additional knowledge that your money is being used to fight for the things you believe in, to preserve our form of government, to preserve our way of life, to preserve our religious freedom, our freedom of speech, our freedom to defend ourselves. All these things are in jeopardy. You just look at what happened at Mar-a-Lago the other day, and how the FBI and the Department of Justice are operating as law enforcement agencies within a police state. We need all the help we can get, and one of our major supporters is Patriot Mobile. So go to patriotmobile.com/Rudy or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the offer code RUDY to get free activation. If you're a veteran or first responder, please let them know, because they're going to have a special discount for you, as they should. Come join our movement. Make the switch today. We need you. patriotmobile.com/Rudy. patriotmobile.com/Rudy or call 972-PATRIOT. This Justice Department is not a Justice Department within a country ruled by law. It's a creature of the Democrat Party and Joseph Biden in particular. It's the Biden State Police. That's how we come to this. When we say, people say, well, the FBI alleged this, it must be true. Well, everything they alleged in the 4 FISA warrants turns out to be absolutely false. They got a search warrant for my apartment a year and a half ago, came in, took all my electronics, didn't want Hunter Biden's hard drive, God forbid. Now they've lost it. They've actually lost it. I didn't commit any crimes. That was done because I was Trump's lawyer. And they searched my law office, unheard of. And they searched other Trump law offices. And worse than that, they went and got, before that, my iCloud, just at about the time I began representing Trump. And really, when I stopped representing Trump, they kind of lost interest. Figure out what that's about. What that's about is the two-tier system of justice. If you're connected with Biden, Clinton, Pelosi, Schumer, oh my goodness, you can have a Chinese spy with you for 19 years, like a certain senator did, no problem. You can have a Chinese mistress who's getting secrets from you. You're on the Intelligence Committee, no problem. You can get $31 million from the Chinese Communist Party and be president of the United States, no problem. You can be a drug addict carrying around a .38 revolver. 10-year felony for anybody else, no problem. You can possess child pornography, no problem. No problem if you're connected to the Bidens or the Clintons or the Pelosi's or the Swalwell or Shifty Schiff can hold up a document. I've got direct proof of Trump's involvement with the Russians. Okay, it's now been proven there hasn't been any. Has the FBI gone back and asked him for that proof? I mean, that would be go a long way to proving that entire Democratic group that is carrying on the J6 thing was involved in a conspiracy to depose the president of the United States. So that's the group we're dealing with. This isn't the FBI of my childhood. So let's now take ourselves to beautiful Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago, the president's official residence, his home. And it's more than his official residence. I mean, I've been there many, many times. I know it like the back of my hand. I stayed there as a guest numerous times in 27, 26, 20, whatever. Stayed there when his wedding took place. Stayed there on Easters with my children. And used to go, searching around with the kids who love going in the little rooms and everything else. And it is definitely a whole area of it is its personal home. And Donald Trump is a homebody. Now, it is a big home, but he has dinner at home every night. Now, sometimes at Mar-a-Lago, it's dinner at home of 50 people, but it's dinner at home. And when we campaigned, if we were within 2 hours of his home, he wanted to come home. I know, and I don't know that this counts for anything anymore, but beyond everything else, violating his home was a deep emotional blow for him. One that is just mean because there was no reason for it. The FBI arrived in the morning. They arrived with at least 12 SUVs. I don't know. The people that talked to me said 40, 50 agents. And how about this? Armed with their guns out. What? He wasn't even there. What are the waiters gonna? What are the waiters gonna start shooting them? Now, here's the reason why this is such a phony. They've been there before. They were there in June at least once, I think more than once. They had gone through all the documents we're talking about. They looked at them. They were content to leave him there, except they said, we think it needs more security, and they put on another padlock. The search was pursuant to a warrant. You get a warrant by filing, you remember this from, Comey's lying and the Pfizer affidavit, which was based on a pack of lies. So if you say there's a FBI affidavit, there must be something to this. You're talking about a different FBI, not the FBI that became a political law enforcement agency, kind of like the ones they have in dictatorships. They work for a particular political party. In this case, this is the Democrat state police or the Biden state police. So, yes, they put in an affidavit and they gave it to a judge. No, they didn't give it to a judge. They gave it to a magistrate judge. Now, you probably don't know this distinction, but it's an important one. Magistrate judge is not appointed by the President of the United States. A magistrate judge is not confirmed by the Senate. Magistrate judge is appointed by the judges of the district to help them with their work. He's a helper judge. To give a warrant, an affidavit, for the unprecedented act of raiding the home of a former president on a crime that is hard to articulate. It wasn't treason, it wasn't murder. It's some kind of records thing that carries no criminal penalty unless they invent one. They go to a magistrate judge. They go to a magistrate judge that has had a close relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, he left his position in the U.S. Attorney's Office. I think it was in 2008 at the height of the investigations of Epstein, some of which turned out to have very questionable results that looked like they were fixed. And he went to work for Epstein, paid him and got him out of the U.S. Attorney's Office. And he represented some of the key people. He represented Epstein's scheduler, Sarah Kellen. He also represented Nadia Makinova, who was described as Epstein's Yugoslavian sex slave. And he represented a number of the others. And he was involved in the controversial deal in 2007 that allowed the pervert to plead guilty to state charges rather than federal charges. He wound up serving 13 months and then had plenty more time to violate other people before he finally got caught without this kind of questionable, possibly corrupt deal. Now, remember, the press would never really say this. Trump hated Epstein. He threw him out of Mar-a-Lago when he found out that he was harassing the massage girls, women. And he put his picture in the guardhouse. Said, I don't want him here. And it wasn't over young women, as far as I remember, but it was over a particular masseuse who complained, never thought that Donald Trump would do anything about it. And Donald Trump, without hesitation, got him on the phone and says, "Get the hell! You're thrown out. Your stuff will be at the guard post. If there's anything else you need, let somebody know. They'll get it. You're never coming back on these premises again." And I think he had occasion to throw him off one or two more times. So they kind of hated each other at this point. Reinhardt was also named in a civil suit accusing him of violating Justice Department policies by switching sides in the middle of the Epstein investigation and using very, very sensitive insider information to help Epstein. Reinhardt denied it, but in a 23 court filing, Reinhardt's former colleagues contradicted him, saying he had learned confidential, non-public information about the Epstein matter. They were asked to see the warrant, as anyone would normally do. They said, "We're the FBI." They should have said, "We're the Biden state police." Shouldn't they? I think they should have, because they're really not the FBI. I think most decent FBI agents abhor them. And I don't say that without tremendous support for what I'm saying. I used to represent the former FBI Association. You want something ironic? I was elected G-Man of the Year in 2014 because of my strong support and help to the FBI. The same FBI that came into my house, went into my law office, took my things, kept them for a year and a half, and sent them back. And put me in grave difficulty in being able to carry on the work that I was doing. Finally, they showed the warrant, which says what you can take, but they never showed the affidavit, which would be the support for this. Really love to see it, because until you saw the affidavit for the FISA warrant, you didn't know it was a phony. The FBI during this was very reluctant to show or give anything. Numerous statements like, the FBI can do what it wants. We're the FBI. As if they are, as I said, a secret police in a dictatorial state. Then, of course, they had to get in to get the documents. Where were the documents? The documents were behind the padlock that they had put up as an additional padlock. And when you come back, we'll conclude this, and I'll give you a few more inside facts that give you an idea of just how devastating to civil rights and to human rights this Biden administration has become. We'll be back in a moment. Not long ago, Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and his team fit me for my very own MyPillow. They also introduced me to their wide assortment of other incredible products, like their mattress topper, their sheets, towels, slippers, and more. Sleep is incredibly important to me, and I can assume for all of you. It's time you give MyPillow a try and see for yourself. Listeners have helped build MyPillow into the incredible company it is today, and Mike Lindell wants to give back to all of you. You can get great discounts on MyPillow products by going to mypillow.com right now and seeing each of the specially priced items, including those in the radio listener special square. You're going to see rotational offers up to 66% off on products like their pillows, mattress topper, Giza sheets, but also new products like their slippers, weighted blankets, robes, and waffle blankets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Enter promo code RUDY for these great specials. That's mypillow.com and use the promo code RUDY. Welcome back, and let's get to the end of this sordid tale, which I think is going to have a lot of reverberations and a lot of after effects, like an earthquake. I'm not sure what they'll all be. I do know when history settles down, this will be one of the worst days in the history of the FBI or the Department of Justice. And I have to tell you, they're two institutions that I love, because when they work right, they're the best in the world. And when they work wrong, they're frightening because they have so much power. Well, again, they had been there before. cordially, worked out with the lawyers. They'd had a chance to review the documents. When they finished their review, when it was done, civilly, the way it normally would be done with an ex-president, or most white-collar criminals for that matter, their only complaint was not enough security, so they added an additional padlock. When they came back, their difficulty was getting past that padlock because they, I guess, lost the key. Remember, they've also lost Hunter Biden's computer. That was testimony before Matt Gaetz. And of course, the crooked media makes nothing of that. They lost his computer. Well, if they need it, I can give it to them. They turned it down when I offered to them at my apartment when they finished the raid of my apartment. I said, the only incriminating evidence I have are these two things here. And they said, what are they? And I said, they're Hunter Biden's hard drive. There's the one that's been abridged, and then there's the one with all of the pornography and child pornography. Why don't you take both? They said, oh, no. Of course, that involves Democrats. You don't get evidence on Democrats. Of course, they had the hard drive for a year and a half before. Well, they had a break-in. They broke in. They took the documents. They broke into at least one safe. It is reported. I don't have this now except from one piece of information, so we'll have to check this one. The thing about the magistrate lawyer and the padlock and all that is very solid. This we're going to have to check, but it should be put on the board to be checked. So I'll put this in the category of everything else I told you is solidly corroborated. This is from one source, and it is that they did break into a safe. So there would be a question as to whether or not the search warrant covered the safe. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you have to get a second search warrant for a safe because it really requires additional probable cause. I won't burden you with that. I'll find that out when I get a look at the, probably when I get a look at the warrant, but I'd have to really look at the affidavit, I think. But in any event, we're told they found nothing. There was nothing in the safe. Nothing. And they walked away with their boxes and they walked away with the Constitution of the United States and tore it up. I don't know if you realize how serious that is. They violated so many constitutional rights, it would take a 3-hour constitutional law lecture to explain it to you. You just know this is wrong, don't you? It doesn't pass the common sense smell test of decent human beings. And this, of course, is all in the context of there being a body of evidence that is in writing, in film, in digital text that shows unequivocally that Hunter Biden for 30 years gave 50% of the money he got to his father when his father was a senator and a vice president. When you look at most of that money, it comes from organized criminals like Mykola Zlochevsky. He was in business with Whitey Bulger's nephew. Or it comes from governments that are evil. China has eliminated 60 to 80 million of its own people. They've given the Bidens 31 million. The Bidens have given them everything they've wanted. Whether we knew this or not, a question could be raised. Why does Biden cave into China so often? And I'm waiting for Trump in one of his speeches to say that Biden has replaced his America First policy with a China First policy. Isn't that strange for a man who received and his family $31 million, bare minimum, from the Chinese Communist Party? How is it possible that he withstands that? Suppose during the Cold War, Kennedy got 20 million from the Russian communists. Suppose Reagan did. They'd have been impeached in a heartbeat. And Republicans would have supported the impeachment of their president, and the Democrats would have supported the impeachment of theirs. Now, there isn't a single Democrat who says, we got to look into, is Biden compromised? I mean, that's a fair question if you got 31 million and you're making strange decisions like giving up air bases 400 miles from China that have just been modernized, and also giving up 85 billion in armaments to people who are going to come back and kill you. Oh, we could go on and on about that, but you can't possibly see this in a vacuum. It's one president being allowed to blatantly violate the law with a body of evidence that proves it, that was hidden so that they could conduct a fraudulent election. And another president where they've been investigating him for 7 years, they can't find a crime we can understand. They can't find that he stole any money. They can't find that he violated or hurt anybody. They can't find that he took any bribes. You got all that on Biden, all of it. In text, admitted to. Do you realize how serious this is? This is a very, very sad day for America. This is the Presidential Records Act they're talking about. There are no criminal penalties for this. Every president that puts together a library has got to have this problem. Nothing indicating he was doing anything different. This is what they constantly do for Republicans. Federal Records Act, no criminal penalty. Let's see if we can make one up for Trump. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Oh, we've never prosecute that, but let's see if we can do it for Manafort. Collusion with Russians, what it started with, it's not a crime. It's wrong, but you got a lot more than just collusion for a crime, and he didn't do it. And they ignore racketeering crime after racketeering crime after racketeering crime from the Biden and Clinton crime families. A country divided against itself cannot stand. We're divided against ourselves now. And in maybe one of the most critical ways of all, those of us who are Republican, those of us who are conservatives, and those of us who believe in Donald Trump feel that we are in jeopardy of being put in prison on phony, made-up charges because of our beliefs. We are intimidated to speak because if we do, we'll be kept off networks. We could lose our jobs. We could lose our friends. We could go to jail and never have committed a crime or have any idea we committed a crime. Is that America? Have they, the Democrats, Biden, and all of them who have such a long record of being proven liars and thieves, have they done irreparable damage to us? What does this say to our allies overseas when one president's pursuing another? It says you're no different than banana republics or China, or because in that respect, we're not. This has to stop. This has to end. Biden and Hillary Clinton have to be held to account for their very clear and very serious crimes. In the case of Biden selling out to our biggest enemy, China, having repercussions right now in the real world. And we have to stop persecuting Donald Trump and Republicans because you don't like their viewpoints. Fight them at the ballot box and don't cheat. Fight them in debates. See if you can do rallies like he does. See if you can draw the number of people that he does. See if you can produce an economy like he did. See if you can keep Russia contained like he did and Biden didn't. See if you can keep China contained like Biden didn't and he did. See if you can stop the fat guy in North Korea from shooting missiles. He did. Biden hasn't. Inflation was less than 2% when he was president. It's 9% now. What did he do that earned this pursuit of framing him? He challenged their power and he challenged their wealth. And believe me, it's both. And it isn't just Biden. But we got to stand up now. This has gone too far. The FBI needs to be totally reorganized. The Department of Justice needs to be totally reorganized. And Wray and Garland have to go because they're crooked and they're disgusting. And worst of all, they've dishonored the honor of the United States, as has the president. Well, thank you for listening. There'll be more. I'm very proud of myself for having gotten through this without getting too emotional. Because to me, this is personal, not just business, as they say. I've known the man for years. He was a greater president than I ever thought he would be. I know he can save our country. And what they've done to him now is beyond persecution. It's really cruel. And it would crush a lesser man. I talked to him last night. His answer is the people will support us. They know who's telling the truth. He's got such great belief in the people of America. That's what lifts your spirit. He believes in you. He knows you're not like Comey and you're not like Garland and you're not one of these power-seeking, money-seeking grubbers who do anything. You love your country, and that comes first. That's who we want. That's who we're going to get, and that's how we're going to beat them at the ballot box. And big time. Thank you. God bless the United States of America.